What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bitcoin panel here on the Fractal Bitcoin channel. Hey, that rhymes. The Bitcoin panel on the Fractal Bitcoin channel. Oh, yeah. AC's here with me. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Chris? How are you?
Good. Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about today. I wanted to talk about MicroStrategy Orange and digital IDs and orange check marks. And man, I look really pale or something. Do I look okay?
You look all right in my view.
Do I need medicine? Anyway, hope you're all doing great out there. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video and all that. And please comment and all that. It really helps. So yeah, we had big news this week. You know what? Let's wait a second because OpenMike is about to join us. OpenMike from Toonster. But in terms of MicroStrategy Orange, I want to first ask you, AC, how did you, when you first heard about it, like just give me your initial impression when you first heard about what they announced.
You know, I was hoping to go last on this.
Well, this is just initial reactions.
Yeah, initial reaction. I would say I think he is starting to make steps towards delivering on, what was it, the previous quarter announcement that they were pivoting to become a Bitcoin development company. And so that's kind of evidence or proof that it's not all just vaporware. And he is really trying to make, steps in that direction. So that was like, at first glance, initial impressions before diving into the details.
Good. Yeah, that perfect. Okay, so that's where I wanted to start. So yeah, I also felt the same way. Like, okay, because people have been saying for a while, ever since he announced that they're going to be a Bitcoin development company, everyone's like, well, you haven't done anything yet, and you haven't even said anything yet. So this was like, okay, at least we're hearing something from MicroStrategy. What's up, BTC Moon Guy? Oh, yeah. Can I get some oh, yeahs in the chat?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Or yeah, oh, yeahs? I mean, look, Barry, wait, what the heck just happened? So, yeah, I also, and then I started looking into the details, and then I realized there were many people who were sort of freaking out. Not freaking out, but, well, let's say hi to OpenMike first. Mike, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's going on, Mike?
Sorry for the technical issues there.
That's okay. Welcome to, we got our first, oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bitcoin panel. Yeah, this is just an informal hangout. We just hang out and chat, so happy to have you here. Of course, OpenMike is from Toonster, but why don't you introduce yourself real quick, Mike?
Yeah, hi. OpenMike. I'm the founder of Toonster. Been in the Bitcoin space since 2018, but been pretty anonymous and kind of came out of the shadows here during the Nostr era and really promoting independent music and doing the live stream the fork of Zap.stream, trying to promote live content creators. So happy to be here. Met a lot of you guys at BitBlock Boom and Nostrasia, so this is great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Happy to chat, man. And BTC Moon Guy lighting up the chat. Another great day to be a Bitcoiner. Hey, every day's a great day to be a Bitcoiner. So, all right. So, AC, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, I feel like, Chris, I'm almost a regular on the show now that I don't need to introduce myself. But yeah, just real quick, similar story with OpenMike. I've been around Bitcoin for a while. Started off shitcoining in the early days of the ICO era, mostly in stealth mode, kind of in silent. And then just recently, over the past year or so, really come out into the public about my interest and passion for Bitcoin and Bitcoin only these days. So that's me in a nutshell in a minute or less.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I appreciate you introducing yourself because there's always new people and the audience is growing, and it always helps to just say. So, I mean, I can introduce myself. Hi, I'm Chris from Fractal Bitcoin.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That right? What else do we need?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So should I, Barry, my producer's here. Barry, should I ever stop playing clips of your voice? Should I ever stop that?
No way. You crazy?
I didn't think so, but I'm just asking. Anyway, so Mike, we were just started talking about MicroStrategy Orange and what Michael Saylor's rolling out. And I wanted to actually show this because I just literally like 30 seconds before we went live, I saw this. And this is, first of all, this is the article from May 2nd about on nobsbitcoin.com, which is a pretty good site for Bitcoin news. I like it. And anyway, it goes on to explain things, which we'll discuss. But I'm scrolling, and here's Francis, his reaction. Using inscriptions to create digital IDs on Bitcoin is so retarded that I'm not concerned it will go away. Saylor is doing it because BMAG people hyped inscriptions as cool and edgy tech. Oh, BMAG is Bitcoin Magazine, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They hyped inscriptions as cool and edgy tech. It's even more dumb than ordinals because at least with ordinals you can do scams. Oh, jeez. Oh. All right, he laid the hammer down there. What AC, what reaction?
Like I said, I was hoping to go last, but I'll just jump in, right? I think the discussions on MicroStrategy and digital identity on Bitcoin, for me, it's all noise. I'm in the camp of everything is good for Bitcoin. And if we want Bitcoin to be the future global monetary base layer, Bitcoin has to be brutally stress tested. It has to be scrutinized. And whether that's inscriptions, ordinals, orange, whatever. Do I support them? Hell no. But do I think experimentation on Bitcoin is necessary and is good? Yes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have things like we have today with Lightning, Liquid, Fediments, eCash, kind of you name it. And so for me, I think it's all noise. And the real fight, which hopefully we'll talk about later, is the coordinated attack on self-custody.
Yeah, that is the real fight for sure. And we will talk about that. That's very definitely we will. So Mike, have you followed at all the MicroStrategy Orange? Do you pay attention to stuff like that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I try to approach it with an open mind. I agree with a lot of what AC just said. You try to assume positive intent and try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But I mean, at the end of the day, for me, it's money, right? I don't care about the other stuff. That's not why I'm here. I'm here for the trustless, immutable, fixed supply money and the simplicity. And I feel like it's a little, Michael Saylor's been so adamant about ossification. It just seems to conflict with itself a little bit. And I could care less about ordinals, inscriptions, any of that stuff. So I try to not get too excited about it. But at the same time, it's a distraction. And, I just got done reading the Block Size Wars for a second time, just trying to think back to where we are right now and look at some of the challenges we're up against in the big institutions. And it feels like there's a lot of stuff going on, and some of these are distractions and some of them are threats. So
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, yeah, so I'll give my opinion. So welcome everyone to the Bitcoin panel. I know people are rolling in as we're doing this. So welcome. Give me an oh yeah in the chat, please. It's like energy drinks and oh yeahs are the fuel, I think, for Fractal Bitcoin. But yeah, in terms of MicroStrategy Orange, I feel a lot like you do, Mike. I mean, Bitcoin is what it is, and it's so great at the core of what it is that all this peripheral stuff, it's not really, I mean, it is what it is. It's peripheral stuff. And I also believe that it's good to do things like this because that's how we grow and learn, right? I mean, look, if you think Bitcoin is going to be exactly like it is today, 20 years from now, I mean, you're kidding yourself, right? The world changes. Things get upgraded and all change happens. So there's no stopping that. And so I look at MicroStrategy Orange as one of those things. All right, we're going to try this now. And okay, maybe it is stupid and probably it won't last. I don't know. But it'll be a step towards growth and learning. And to finish off, I'll just say that the beauty of Bitcoin in my mind is that all this noise, as you called it, AC, it doesn't disrupt the core fundamental mission of Bitcoin, right? In my opinion. I don't think you can touch it. I mean, what can anyone really do to Bitcoin? I don't know. There's probably things. I know I'm very, I wouldn't say naive, but kind of naive, but also I don't, you've pointed this out, AC, that I don't, I sort of overlook all the privacy threats and stuff. Like a lot of the weird stuff that could happen to Bitcoiners, I just don't even think about, which is not good because we have to do it right. But so sometimes my opinions are overly optimistic. But what do you think do you think I'm over optimistic, AC?
No, kind of like what OpenMike said. You know, Michael Saylor is very much of the ossification camp, at least what he says publicly as far as the base layer of Bitcoin and very minimal to no changes over long periods of time for scrutinizing any potential changes. And then you've got others that, you know, kind of want to grow and iterate, whether that's more decentralization or more scalability or something like that. And ultimately, did I just drop off? All by
No, you're here.
Okay,
You were full
yeah.
screen. Yep.
Sorry, I'm thinking and talking at the exact same time. And like OpenMike said, you know, there's probably a balance between the two that supports development while also supports, you know, due diligence, because we don't want to be in a situation where a minor change to Bitcoin creates a vulnerability or a threat. And really, Bitcoin, for me, is that monetary base layer, right? All of these other experiments with JPEGs on chain, I'm not really interested in all that. There are other projects and other air quote blockchains for anyone who might be listening that they can go and experiment with that. But for the base layer of money, there is only one, and it's Bitcoin. And because we're talking about Michael Saylor, like he said, there is no second best, right? Or there is nothing else. It should be Bitcoin and Bitcoin only.
Yeah, I feel that it's interesting. I don't know. Have you guys listened to Preston's discussion with Max Hillebrand recently?
Not yet. I saw it pop up on my feed, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I always try to play devil's advocate, right? Like, Michael Saylor has been such a pure ossification guy, and you see this. I saw all the noise on socials and the editorials, so to speak, and then I just went to the source and I said, all right, I want to watch this presentation. Like, what did he actually say? And it just doesn't seem to line up with like the guy that I thought he was, right? Like, at least the way he talks about no second best and, you know, just keep the development to a minimum. And that's kind of where I always stood. And I was really, the discussion that Preston and Max had was very insightful. And, you know, Max is extremely insightful, and he was very, very clear that you can't ossify. You have to evolve and develop and make improvements. He talked about SegWit, Taproot, and like all the different things that you couldn't do, that you kind of take for granted, like multi-sig, right? So some of this stuff is necessary, but I just don't feel like this is one of them. And I tried to like walk around and step in his shoes and give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but it just, to your point, AC, it feels like another chain can accomplish that.
It also, to me, it feels like because of the world he's in, the corporate world and the TradFi world, even though he's so strong on Bitcoin, he's still in that world too, right? Sometimes I forget that, right? Like, he's in the traditional business world, and he has a huge company, MicroStrategy, that is mostly doing real world business stuff, not Bitcoin. Well, up till now. So yeah, it's not surprising that he's sort of getting pulled in both directions a little ish, right?
Well, it's important to also remember that I remember exactly where I was when MicroStrategy took their first position. It wasn't that long ago. It was the summer of 2020. So Bitcoin is a baby in itself. We don't know 15 years in this world, right? Um, Michael Saylor has been drinking out of a fire hose and dove straight into the deep end, but he's less than 4 years into this thing.
Right.
Like, he owns a ton of it. Doesn't mean he's like written the code and understands it all the way down to the dev level.
True. And is this is the episode you were talking about, Mike?
Yeah, just this week. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Bitcoin Fundamentals is the name of the podcast, right? Okay.
It's We Study Billionaires, and then every Wednesday is the Bitcoin only show. So that's Bitcoin Fundamentals. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And AC, you just sent me this. I don't know if you wanted to comment on it.
Yeah. Which one are you going to pop up first?
Just Jay.
Okay. Yeah. So there was a good post by Just Jay, and I forget if it was yesterday or the day before. But I think that there's a little bit of confusion. And up front, I'm not a bit dev, so I'm not writing code or anything like that. And so I haven't actually scrutinized this, but it sounds like, there's a misuse of words, specifically on inscriptions, that is confusing some people. And, Just Jay goes into it a little bit more detail. If you pop up those pictures and show kind of the highlighted sections, they're not inscriptions that we think of as far as JPEGs on the base chain. There's something slightly different, and that's where I get to the point that I'm, out of my wheelhouse, so to speak. But if people take a look at it at first glance and they make the assumption that it is JPEGs on the base layer, I can see why there's a lot of opposition, especially from folks who are of the ossification camp or support Michael Saylor in his previous statements on ossification. And so I think people, before they have really strong opinions on it, should dive into more of the levels of detail before kind of just blasting off on social media. But again, I don't think that this is the real conversation. This is another one of those things that divides the community and distracts us from the real fight. And that's what we've seen earlier this week with things like Samurai, Phoenix, Wasabi. That is where all of our, priority and energy should be directed towards.
I agree with that. I think it's anything that divides the community is pretty damn dangerous. Like, because we got enough stuff going on. If you're in Bitcoin and you understand it at this level of intimacy, to have this strong of an opinion, like, maybe table that for a second.
Yeah, it definitely
definitely, just prioritize accordingly, right?
Yeah, but it's it's okay to come out hard with a strong opinion. It's okay, but don't try to pound everybody into oblivion, right? We're all just trying to figure this out to some degree. I will say, and I want to show that Vitor Pamplona, the creator of the Amethyst app, it's a Noster app, he's been posting some very interesting things, which I covered in my episode, this episode, from May 2nd of Fractal Bitcoin. So if you want to check that out. But the reason I bring that up is because this is getting, and again, this is sort of one fringe benefit of MicroStrategy coming out with this, is that now all the devs are talking, and they're looking at what he's doing and picking it apart, and they're commenting on individual pieces of it. And so I think by talking through it all, it'll almost spur ideas of how to do it better, or even something completely different to do. So I think having the devs criticize it or critique it or look into it deeply is very good, right? And Johnny B's here. Oh yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, baby, Johnny B. What's up, man? He's back at his desk. So welcome, Johnny. Yeah, there's just there's so much we don't know too, right? They just came out with their initial 15-minute presentation, right? And we're all trying to pick it apart. But AC, the bigger point that you want to get to, I think, is a really important one. So maybe we should go into that if you want to go into that now about privacy. You know, we have look, I've been saying in my videos, the people in the cartel, I mean the government, it's a cartel, they're going to want to know everything. They want everything to be public. They want everybody, KYC everybody. They want everybody's information. We know that. And that's what they're going to fight for. And so, you know, a lot of Bitcoiners are on the other side of that spectrum where no one should know anything. I even covered a post today in my video, which posted a couple hours ago, that someone was pointing out that when you have a bank account, nobody can go in and see your bank transactions. Like, so even with a bank account, you have more privacy than they want you to have with Bitcoin, right? So this is a big one, right, AC? You feel this one strongly?
Yeah, I do. You know, when the ETFs came out back in January, a lot of Bitcoiners thought, hey, this is the Trojan horse. This is Bitcoin's Trojan horse into Wall Street. But if we look at it from like an adversarial mindset, what if the opposite is true? Like, what if the ETFs were actually Wall Street's Trojan horse into Bitcoin? And what would it take to be successful? A crippling attack on self-custody, forcing people onto platforms like the ETF, which can be monitored, which could be tracked, which could be surveilled, just like all of the things that Bitcoiners and people are opposed to the CBDC. It would force people to get rid of their self-custody Bitcoin and transfer that and convert it over to an ETF. And now you're beholden to a custodian, and that is against the ethos of Bitcoin. And, you know, no central authority, no intermediaries, completely self-sovereign. And so really, if we are supporting Bitcoin and we think we are Bitcoiners, the real fight is on self-custody. And we need to be able to defend self-custody. And I think that's, you know, kind of just to tie it all together, I think that's really where the development gets interesting for me, especially with things like Mutiny. I've been playing with Mutiny for a while, and I think what they've done to implement Mutiny to run as a progressive web app, not beholden to any app store, is amazing. Because you wouldn't be in the same situation you are in today with something like Phoenix, where, you know, they leave the app store and now you're not getting any more updates, and you may be trapped without a wallet until you find a new one. With Mutiny running in a browser, you don't care. And so really, like I said, to tie it all up, I think experimentation on Bitcoin is good, and it will drive developers to build more robust self-custody solutions that'll better defend self-custody. But really, I think that's where the attention should be, and not necessarily on what MicroStrategy is doing with Orange.
Right. You have any thoughts on that, Mike?
I mean, I don't have any disagreements there. I think that the real chilling news was Samurai, and you got to think self-custody is next, right? You know, if you're enabling all of these, you know, quote, easy ways to acquire Bitcoin, people routinely select convenience over privacy, and, you know, ease of use over responsibility. You know, to think of it as Wall Street's way in rather than the other way is I think it's an appropriate way to think about it.
Yeah. So in terms of like how So if the government said you are not allowed to self-custody Bitcoin, first of all, they can say whatever they want. Doesn't mean anything because they can't go into the Bitcoin network and take anyone's Bitcoin. So the question is, well, how would they really enforce that? Is it? I mean, going door to door, I don't think is a valid idea. I don't think that would ever happen. They can't go door to door with anything. They just don't have enough people and resources and whatever. So then what is it? Is it what is it? Do you have any thoughts on that, AC?
Yeah. So as long as we denominate Bitcoin in fiat terms, and people will eventually want to convert some amount of Bitcoin back into dollars, imagine a world where all the on-ramps and off-ramps between Bitcoin and dollars are closed. Then what are you going to do, right? Sure, there's discussions on circular economies and value for value exchange, and I fully support those. But they are not at a stage where somebody can live entirely, and I emphasize entirely on a Bitcoin standard. You know, you've got options with like Bitrefill and Fold to be able to convert, sats into another denomination, whether it's a gift card, back into dollars to be able to utilize elsewhere. But again, imagine all of those on-ramps and off-ramps were closed. That is part of the attack that I think is probably coming.
Yeah, that does make sense. And there's also other attacks that we can't even think of really, right? Because it's hard to think of every possibility, right? So
well, and the other piece too, and we've talked about this before, is the difference between KYC and non-KYC sats, right? Sure, you can go through and do coin joins on Samurai, or you used to with Samurai and Wasabi, but the original KYC location exchange where you bought that Bitcoin, you've got to assume that the government and the IRS is aware of that. And you could say, yeah, I lost it in a boating accident or whatever. But the second that you try to convert a similar amount of Bitcoin back into dollars, you'd probably get a knock on the door and they would ask, where did this come from? And so there, again, there's going to be, it's a multiple prong attack on Bitcoin. It's going to start with, it's starting right now with self-custody, and it's going to look like on-ramps and off-ramps. If you think back to like the COVID days and people who were not vaccinated and how there was like this negative narrative associated with those folks, and it was all driven by mainstream media, it's not outside of the realm of the possible to think that there could be something similar with, again, air quote, unhosted wallets.
Right. Yeah, and Cyprian makes a great point here. Or banning or restricting access to self-custody tools. Yeah, okay, this is just a feeling I have. I don't see the government, I don't see them trying to squash Bitcoin or self-custody. Maybe, again, this is just my thoughts. I don't, whatever, but I just think they're just going to want to tax it every 7 ways till Sunday, right? So, but I don't know anything, right? I'm just, maybe that's hopium right there, right?
Yeah, but overreach on taxes and overreach on, regulations is a quote unquote ban, right? If you make it so difficult for people and so expensive, they're either going to not use it and they're going to make that decision themselves, or they're going to vote with their feet and move to a location or a nation state that, supports them or is, less opposed to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And from a nation state perspective, is that what you want to do? Driving out creativity, innovation, outside of the U.S. borders. We've talked about this before as well. A nation state can't necessarily ban Bitcoin. We saw that when China tried to ban mining. All you really do is ban yourself from Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And so, before the show, Chris, we were talking about Senator Lummis And I like what she's doing and being that advocate inside the political sphere in support of Bitcoin. And I think we need more people of a similar mindset inside the halls of Congress as well.
Yeah, and so on my show every day, I cover fiat and government nonsense, just for context, because one of the things I find with Bitcoin is people have no, especially new people, they don't know what it is. That there's no reference point. Like Satoshi himself said, right? Like, it's bloody hard to describe this thing, right? Every day I cover fiat and government nonsense, and maybe it's just because I'm covering it, but I see a lot of people and a lot of posts about how inflation is really happening with the money printing. And I see regular people posting about inflation and fiat and everything. So I wanted to ask you, Mike, have you seen this? Are you seeing it more in the world, that people are getting wise to fiat and how bad it is?
Yes, but I feel like in my world, a lot of people are just screaming into the wind, right? They're just like, oh man, this hamburger is so expensive. Like, but then what, right? You know, like, what do? You've got your emotion and your observation, but what do you do? And that's where, as Bitcoiners, you just say, well, opt out. Like, it's obvious. Like, how could you not see this right now? Like, and it's amazing how close some people can get and then just miss it. And I don't know, have you guys seen that 1996 advertisement that's been trolling around in social media? It's a Tia Kref advertisement where it says, in 30 years it's going to cost $16 for a hamburger and $12,000 for a vacation. And you know, it was satirical. That was
Right.
And here we are.
And
right.
here we are.
Right. And I've run hospitality venues where your beers are over $10. It's crazy. We're not even on a coast, you know? So it is, people are wising up. I just don't think, I think people who oppose Bitcoin are so good at muddying the water, and you just think of the attention span of how long I don't know, how long did it take you guys to get it? Like, we all did our like tours in the shitcoin world, and like, what is this? What is that? And get burned a few times, and how many people are stubborn enough to get burned and then come back? And you know,
Right.
it's a challenging, nuanced discussion to even get somebody to think about money that's not backed by anything. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you realize what you're up against when you, I just saw the Bill Maher clip the other day, and you're like, man, like that, it's just crazy. Like, how many eyeballs are soaking in that content where a mainstream comedian with a large following speaks with conviction about something that he doesn't really understand, and then it becomes fact. And he doesn't even have a horse in the race. He's not a big money printing government. He's just a guy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, there's been so many negative articles, discussions, conversations related to Bitcoin in the past. That's a massive barrier to overcome when trying to teach people or orange pill people about Bitcoin, because they walk into the conversation with so many preconceived notions. You know, whether it's magic internet money or illicit use or drug money or, you know, funding terrorism, whatever that current narrative is in mainstream media. And that's a huge hurdle to overcome, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you watch that clip, it's like 2 minutes long. Within that clip, he says it's only for criminals, and then he says it's a Ponzi. And you're like, okay, great. Well, I guess Bitcoin solves the crime problem because they're all broke. Like if it's a Ponzi scheme that's only used by criminals, like what's the problem? Like they're all going to get wrecked.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, but people don't, they can't handle logic like that, right? They're just trying to express a feel. It's really fear, in my opinion. It's a deep-seated fear that, oh my God, there's this new thing, and what if that really is the thing? And I don't know about it, and I'm late to the party, so I'm not even going to go there, and I'm going to bash it. And then the other part of it is, don't forget, because Bitcoin is overthrowing the entire global monetary system, you have all the governments and authorities in the world, not all of them right now, but most of them are against Bitcoin for that reason, right? So they're using all their arms of propaganda to put it into people's minds that this is for criminals only, and it is a Ponzi scheme, right? So it's like a propaganda war is what it really is. And the sooner people wake up, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just have this recurring sensation of being gaslit, right? Like I work in independent music, and you think like, well, geez, this community should just be primed for this technology, right? Like sovereign, self-supporting, independent, free of intermediaries, and what industry needs that more than music? And so you go into these conversations with this amazing discovery and this revelation, and you want to share it, and then you realize that the audience thinks that you're SBF, and you're just like, God, this is crazy. You sound like a shitcoin shiller to them, and really you just want to protect your family or protect your constituency or your stakeholders and get them on the ship before everything hits the fan. And it's crazy because how long did it take you to get comfortable with those naysayers and that quick, I can react fast to the opposition on the spot. It's tough.
Yeah, it definitely is. One of my favorite things to do when somebody says that it's a Ponzi is I ask them what the definition of a Ponzi is. Like a lot of people will try to throw that term around, and they'll say something like Bernie Madoff right afterwards. And, depending on how they define a Ponzi, which is, for future investors, money goes to past investors. How does that happen in Bitcoin? Guess what? It doesn't. The price of Bitcoin is set at the margins. And so when somebody buys a new Bitcoin, that doesn't automatically go to the OGs. And once, hopefully that resonates with them. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. But really, it's challenging their preconceived notions. Chris, I'll disagree with you a little bit. I don't think it's fear. I think it's ego. People aren't willing to be wrong, and they're willing to die on that hill, so to speak, sometimes, because they'd rather argue with you and hold on to their current beliefs than challenge their own beliefs and accept that they were wrong and possibly look into something new like Bitcoin.
Yeah, I actually think we agree 100% because fear and ego they're like together. Essentially, that's what ego is, right? It's
Right.
fear of whatever. Yeah, no, that's what it is, and that's what we're up against. But look, it's going to take time, right? I mean, I don't know. Mike, you said how long did it take for us to get into it? Yeah, it definitely took a few years, right? Maybe even more than a few years, because when I learned about Bitcoin I learned about Bitcoin in 2016, and I didn't really get into it till late 2018. I'd been hearing about it every week because I was producing a podcast talking about Bitcoin every week. And even after 2.5 years, it took me 2.5 years to finally go, you know what? I want in on this. This is special. And then even after that, it took a while to learn more to sort of answer people's questions in real time, right? Because now I can go talk to any neighbor. Anyone I talk to, I'm not afraid of anybody trying to stump me or say it's a Ponzi scheme, like, because I've heard enough. I've heard enough of people refuting those arguments that I can sort of refute them in a general sense, right? But that does take a long time, right? Probably 4 years. Wow.
Yeah, I think we've got a good set of tools now, even though they're like the attention span of people, right? It's just the headline, it's the quick TikTok thing. But like we actually have some of those rebuttals at our toolbox right now with just say the word Larry Fink, right? Okay, it's for criminals. Well, why did Gensler approve it? It's a Ponzi scheme. Why is the number one asset manager in the world endorsing it? Like, you just throw it right back at them with your own blanket statement of common sense in the other direction. And even if you have opinions about the ETFs, like we talked about earlier, that's like, is this good? Is this bad? Who cares, right? It's an endorsement by the mainstream that offsets some of that initial FUD, at least. But yeah, it was funny. Like you said, 2016, I run the finance and legal department of my company. And so I managed the benefit plan. I set up the 401k plan, and I deal with all of the questions that people bring in. And in 2016, one of our bookers came to me and asked about if he should buy Bitcoin. I'd heard of it, but I dropped the Buffett line of like, if you can't explain it to me, don't buy it. And and I still stand by that, but I immediately knew that I didn't know what I was talking about. And
right. If you can't explain it simply, then don't give advice on it.
right. But I knew, like, I stood by my advice, like, don't take on a risk if you don't understand it. But I also knew that I didn't know if it was a good investment or not. I didn't know anything about it from the context he was asking. I know, liability is don't give fiduciary advice. That's pretty easy. But it made me go down the rabbit hole. And then you go through the phase where like, oh crap, I'm too late, and then I watched it run up in 2017. And when it crashed in 2018, I was like, okay, now it's time. But the getting to that point of admitting that you don't actually understand it, it's humbling.
Yeah.
You got to be a little resilient and stubborn to like, I want to make this argument work.
Right. AC, we might have talked about this before, but do you think if we can sort of come up with a way to simply onboard people to Bitcoin very simply, do you think that would help adoption more, or is it more of a global understanding thing like Mike was talking about, or both?
I think people need to understand it. Whenever we go through closing remarks or, last words on the show, I usually say almost the exact same thing, right? I say study Bitcoin and get off zero knowledge. And the reason I say that is if you don't study Bitcoin and you just go out there and buy it, the next 20 or 30% drop or worse, you're going to freak the fuck out and you're going to sell it, right? And so really it's just an asset to accumulate more fiat. And that's not in line with the ethos of Bitcoin. And so I think it's important for people to understand all of the amazing things that Bitcoin can do. It's decentralized, it's permissionless, censorship resistance, financial censorship resistance, all of these things. You need to understand that to build that conviction. So, the 20% drop we saw earlier this week, you don't care. I mean, you might be a psychopath and stack more. I know I bought a couple bucks more. But if you don't understand it, you're probably going to sell at a loss. And then you're going to be another statistic of somebody who's like, oh yeah, I tried that Bitcoin thing. I lost my ass on it. I'm never touching it again. They never took the time to invest just a couple hours to understand it. And I think if people do that, we'll see a wave of adoption.
Right. And I just want to alert everyone, you two, as well as everybody listening and watching, that the the Bitcoin panel pump on stream is taking place. Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to make it like it happens every Bitcoin panel, but it never has, actually. But anyway, sorry. I don't know. The energy of the energy. Wait, hold on. Did AC buy the dip?
Of course.
What kind of question?
Of course. Come on, Moon Guy.
And not just once.
Oh, we need to find that meme of Matthew McConaughey when he bought it like 3 times and you saw him get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier.
Oh, I don't know that one.
I'm going to find it right now.
Okay.
I'll throw it in the chat.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, the when the price is pumping, it's just adds this whole energy, which, again, it is what it is. It's opposite when the price is going down. It's, it just is what it is. But look, we're simple beings, we're emotional beings, and I don't think anyone can pretend like they're above the price. Like, oh, that's why when people post, oh, even if Bitcoin went to 0, I would still hold it and use it and everything. And it's like, really, dude? I mean, really? I don't know. Maybe you would, but I don't know. What do you think, Mike? What do you think about people like that who say they'll take, even if Bitcoin goes to 0, I'll still hold it, and I don't know. Maybe Mike can't hear me. Can you hear me, Mike? Oh, he lost the audio, but I got the private chat from AC. Is this the one? No, that's not the one. So everybody in the chat, give me an oh yeah. Let's go. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, I got the meme. Load the meme cannon. There it is. Buying the dip for the first time. Minus 25% after buying the dip. Buying the dip for the 5th time. Minus 90%. Oh, yeah, that's good. I like that. Bandrew, what's up, my brother?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bandrew's here. My goodness. Now it's a party. You know when your friend shows up to the party and you're like, oh, no, you didn't. Yeah, oh, yeah. All right. Anyway, am I the only one laughing like an idiot? Okay,
That's
all right.
great.
Yeah, there you go. I have to, this is great. But this is, I don't know. I will say, though, when the COVID crash happened and when the COVID crash happened, I wasn't yet like 100% conviction, because if I was, I would have went in heavy. And that's one of the times when I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I should have went in heavy. In fact, there's a clip of a guy on a podcast. I don't know. I forget who it was. He was saying, like, look, we all look back and we wish when we got in heavier, right? Do you guys feel that way too, right? But that's a normal thing to feel.
Oh yeah, everybody was late to Bitcoin.
That's right. Except Satoshi. I mean, what's his name?
Craig Wright.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. In fact, I heard that when Satoshis become worth more than $1, they're going to divide Satoshis even more, and the 1/1000th of a Satoshi is going to be called a Craig Wright. Come on.
Nice.
All right. So, Bandrew, the question is, are you a Bitcoiner, Bandrew? And you don't have to answer that. I mean, some people don't. Some people are very private, right? Some people would never start a Bitcoin show like me or other people. Because how do you feel about privacy, Mike? Are you really cautious and always thinking and protecting yourself, or are you a little more free?
No, I'm pretty guarded. I'm a risk manager at work, right? I think about all the things that could go wrong and you start to plan for them. So apply that in a world where you're consuming all of the Bitcoin content out there, and you think about all the things that could happen. And it's I'm like AC, I was anonymous for a long time, and then I just decided that this is too important to sit on the sidelines. So I decided to start talking. But it took a little, it took a while. And I still am careful about, I don't want to, I'm the CFO. I can't run around saying a lot of the stuff that some of the extreme opinions say.
Right.
But they're all very well thought out. They're all valid. And we haven't gone through the fourth turning, right? Like we don't know what the world looks like in some of these circumstances. And people who think that way fully understand how they arrived at that spot.
Right.
So I do take privacy seriously, but I also pick everything that I do is like a risk reward kind of a assessment. Like, I think this is worth it.
That's interesting. You also think along those lines, AC, right?
Yeah. I, going back a couple years and putting on my cybersecurity hat back on, you're not going to be able to withstand an attack from like a nation state, well-resourced, determined. But what you can do is make yourself a harder target and make so that you're not, that low-hanging fruit that's really easy. And there are steps associated with that, right? And so I take, my personal cybersecurity hygiene and my privacy and, maintaining secure practices and secure standards. I take that seriously.
Yeah, and I wonder, like I always, when we talk about this kind of thing, AC, I always think you should create a course or something on Bitcoin privacy and security best practices or something. Because, I'm looking for that, and it's hard, it's not easy to find. Like, because don't forget, when I'm looking, I don't really know what I'm looking for, right? Like, how do I know if that guy's video is true or that guy's video is not true? So, all right, AC. Create a course, brother.
I'm looking for a producer.
Oh.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So, well, look. One thing I want to show you guys is, wait, what the? I don't know, because I don't know who has not heard of Tunster yet, but you need to go to tunster.io. Because this is like, you're getting, in my opinion, you're getting a glimpse into the future here. These are live music shows streamed online where people can zap Satoshis to the artist directly. And OpenMike, right there on the bottom left of your screen, is the guy who's running tunster.io. And he's also running a club where they stream from, and you're starting to do more streams from other places. So, Mike, tell us about your venue real quick, and then where else in the world you're streaming from. Oh, I think you're muted.
It looks like he said, hold on.
Yeah, okay. Oh, he's going to come back. But yeah, Tunster, I don't know. Have you watched any live shows on Tunster, AC?
I did go and check it out. The episode where we had Arcanox on, I jumped on to Toonster and checked out a couple videos. And I think it's an awesome project. And I think that, like you said, it's potentially the future of, value for value on artists. And I think there's probably an opportunity to expand, to kind of different verticals, supporting people doing something that they're passionate about.
Yeah, my back here.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't see Chris anymore.
So yeah, well, Toonster. First off, it's massive shout out to Kieran and Carnage and the devs because I'm not a developer. This is a simple fork of open source code and a lot of people helping out. I run IRL venues. I have and what my objective with Toonster is simply to create a Zap.stream experience that artists can come and be a discovery tool. They can discover Bitcoin, they can discover Noster, and really experience it and not have to deal with some of the other stuff that might be, somebody playing Grand Theft Auto right next to him and Sergio making his cocktails. And, I love all that stuff, but I know like the perception of a real artist is like, this is, they want to have you know, a, a serious spot to produce their art and share it with the world. So, yeah, I started that in the summer last year, and then went out to Nostrasia, started shaking hands and telling people what I wanted to do, and Kieran helped me fork it. Carnage helped me. If you go to welcome.toonster.io, that's the kind of about page, and then the Toonster.io is where the streams are. When something goes live, it'll pop up there. When there's nothing live, it's just, it's kind of a library of previous recordings. But yeah, the idea is this is my vehicle to Orange and Purple Pill, and I really think that we were talking earlier about the orange pill being kind of hard to explain. I think the purple pill is pretty easy to explain for me. It's like, do you want to build your house on somebody else's land, or do you want to build it on your own land and own your social graph? Nobody can deplatform you or censor you. You can safely build your creator identity on Noster and know that you own it. You can drop it into any client you want, and then through that you'll have to experience Bitcoin. And then everybody knows, as soon as you have a little Bitcoin, that's when you start doing the research and the homework, and you're like, what is this thing? Like, why are these people so crazy about my music just to zap me? Like, because like that first show that it's highlighted on the page was Ainsley Costello and Just Loud.
Yeah.
Ainsley, at the time, was 19-year-old singer-songwriter in Nashville. We're going to be doing an event there during the conference this summer with her and Just Loud, but she'd never made more than a couple $100 on a performance. And she and Just Loud got 20 million plus sats in 2 days. We did a 2-day run. She played for the Bitcoin meetup in Minneapolis, and then they played my club together back to back the next day. And, they made $4,000 and $6,000 respectively. And now that's doubled in price practically. So that was at the time, Bitcoin was trading a lot lower at the time. So it's a cool story. I totally, that was a lightning in a bottle kind of a thing, where people are zapping the concept and zapping the experience and zapping the first of a kind. And so on a regular basis, it's going to be a lot smaller numbers, but I hope it can be a discovery tool, and I've really been excited about like how people in the Bitcoin world embrace artists who embrace Bitcoin, right? So it's a small community, but if we think this is the future like we do, it's going to be fruitful for the artists as well.
It really will be. And hello, Miriam. Hello, world. And that's the thing I love about Toonster is that what you just described is like a way to offer a product to people, offer people something they want, and they go for what they want. But in the process of going for what they want, Bitcoin gets woven in, and
Right.
they're not going for Bitcoin. They're going for music and to support these artists. That's the way. That's what people talk about on Nostr all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's how do you grow Nostr? Create an app that is so good that just people from all over the world just start flocking to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even have to know it's backed by Nostr. They don't even have to know what protocol it's on.
Right.
That's the way. So good on you, man.
Yeah, you gotta. I got punched down in the last bull market. You go through the evangelism stage, and you think everybody's gonna just get it right away. And first off, live streaming didn't take off in real world music. It's not a big money maker. People don't like to watch concerts on their phone. They will for free, but not to pay. And then Bitcoin is, it's a tougher conversation, and most technological improvements, guess what, really harmed independent artists. So they're very skeptical. Everybody's pitching artists. Everybody's got their own like money making, get rich quick scam. And so I quickly discovered what I sounded like to them, right?
Right.
And so you just, Nostr is the first time. Nostr was the big event where I doxed myself because
Okay.
I saw the social graph and that metaphor of building your house on somebody else's land. That really made sense to me for artists, and how you watch people build their brand, their personal brand, and that's a secure footing to invest in. So I thought Nostr was a worthwhile reason to come out of the shadows.
Very cool.
Thank you.
That's great, man. Toonster.io. So everybody check it out. And we're actually at the end. I don't know how that happened, but you guys have any last words? I'll give some last words. I'm doing this to AC for a reason. My last words are study Bitcoin.
Love it.
Just kidding. But no, this has been great. So thanks to everybody who's been watching. Definitely check out Toonster.io and definitely Fractal Bitcoin. And do you guys have any last words? AC?
No, you stole my thunder this time.
Yeah. Study Nostr.
Yeah.
Oh, yes!
Good one.
I missed the button.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sorry. All right. Anyway, all right. So what else? What else do we need to say before we end the stream? Mike, anything?
I mean, self-custody. Take it seriously.
Self-custody.
That's without that, it's kind of just another fiat with a supply cap.
Right. Oh, and I saw recently I think it was the government, I can't remember, but the government came out and said like all the Bitcoin in exchanges that if they need to seize that, they're just going to seize that. Like they openly came out and said that, which we know they would do that, but
Yep.
Oh man, Miriam, the person who just said hello world and I said hello to, just spammed the chat. Oh God.
Ooh.
I have to remember to block you later. I mean, 10,000 Bitcoin giveaway event today. What the? Oh, we don't like scammers. All right. Let's all say goodbye, and thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week on a Bitcoin panel. And don't forget, Fractal Bitcoin, subscribe to the channel. I give a 15-minute news video every day, so definitely follow that, and I appreciate I appreciate you guys. AC, thanks, man. And Mike, thanks for joining.
Yeah.
It's been
Thanks,
great.
guys.
All right.
Yep.
See ya.
See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
All right.